It's time to talk about Extreme Robots once again here at the Combot Collective as we have a bit of a double feature for you. We're talking about Maidstone all the way back in October, an event which had 3 Extreme Robots Heavyweight Championship defenses, but we are also talking about the recently discussed Magic the Gathering Brothers War Battle of the MECHS, a special 11-minute event which is currently on the Magic the Gathering channel. We're talking all about these 2 events ran by Extreme Robots right here, right now at the Combot Collective. Stay tuned.
Preserved enough energy to get in the flip on Carbine. We're going to go all the way.
Oh my God! That's going to hurt. Grab the milk, Kenny.
Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello everybody and welcome to yet another live event rundown episode here at the Combot Collective, bringing everything you want to know from the world of robot combat, from the heavyweight class to the fleetweight class, from BattleBots to the live circuit. I know pace has been a bit slow on the channel over the past couple of weeks. We're going to try picking it up. We have some news videos on deck, some event rundown videos on deck, and we're going to be starting those event rundowns with the first of 2 more rundowns we got to cover before we get to those TCC overall rankings. And of course, we are talking about Extreme Robots in Maidstone. This was an exciting event, a lot of twists and turns, some surprising shocks, and of course, later in the episode, we will also be talking about Magic the Gathering special crossover event with Extreme Robots, something we discussed on our social media about a month ago. The Brothers War Battle of the MECHS, a special event featuring Manta and Thor, along with their drivers and some personalities online. We're going to be talking about all of this, so let's not waste too much time. I'm your host, as always, Sterling Brown, but now let's jump into this weekend of Extreme Robots events. The penultimate Extreme Robots stop this year would be at Maidstone's Maidstone Leisure Centre, and according to the showrunner Chris Wilkins, would be the highest selling Extreme Robots event of the year so far, with over 2,000 fans buying tickets for the weekend's events. The event would see Iron All 6 fight our recently crowned Extreme Robots Heavyweight Champion Ignition for his prestigious title, an opportunity Iron All 6 won by defeating Ignition at Extreme Robots' most recent September event. Iron All 6's driver Shane Lale would state before the Maidstone event but that's our pre-event title picture. Before this Maidstone event on the Reactivate pre-show, Chris Wilkins would also bring up the dominance of Team Inferno, something of course all of us at the Combot Collective have been quite aware of, as Chris would state that it may be best at this rate for these other 2 squads in Team Divinity and Team Quake to use these final 2 weekends in these next 6 shows to prepare themselves for the 2023 season. You know, work on improving themselves along with team cohesion and robot ability, as with our score sitting at 7-1-1, those 5,000 pounds have pretty much been decided for Team Inferno. You gotta start looking toward the future. Chris is right. But aside from that, we do have some roster changes coming into this team competition, but not nearly as many as which we've seen for the prior Extreme Robots stops this year. Only 2 robots added to rosters, and quite interesting ones at that. First, joining the dominant Team Inferno comes the only Belgian heavyweight team in the world right now, Team Rubbish with Brutus, their sturdy 4-wheel drive wedge bot which serves as the predecessor for Robot Wars Series 9 and 10 veteran Cobra. Meanwhile, joining Team Divinity is quite an interesting situation, a robot which seemingly only springs into action every October, and it's a personal favorite of mine, King Buxton, one of my childhood favorite robots and one of the last standing active heavyweights from the 1990s, who currently sits at an impressive TCC ranking of 26 out of 128, but does enter Maidstone without its captain Simon Harrison. Simon was present at Robot Riot's Dublin with the 2 currently active King Buxtons, an event we'll talk about later, but was unable to attend this Extreme Robots due to being abroad, so this iconic team have lended their machines to yet another iconic team in Team Roaming Robots with John Finley. John Finley was also at Robo Rides with his large family of Rippers and other machines, so this was an easy call for Simon to go to one of his old friends to drive his robot. And just with that, John Finley did fantastically behind the sticks of King Buxton. It's worth noting right now we don't have nearly the info and results that we had for the September stop, unfortunately. Extreme Robots have been a bit mute on event results, but we do have a couple of match results here, starting with our two new Extreme Robots team members in Brutus versus King Buxton, a match shared on Reactivate. This was an excellent driving battle between Team Rubbish and Team Roaming Robots. The duo of four-wheel drive power pushers tore up inside the arena with an excellently controlled battle which had multiple lead changes. King Buxton though proved why veterans are on top late into the fight though, knocking out Bruce in the final 30 seconds of the match in a move which will likely push King B up to our top 20 of the TCC overall rankings. Meanwhile, in the Spinners division, it was once again a weekend all about Europe's biggest heavyweight rivalry in Zadkiel versus AfterShock. The two forces of destruction met inside the Extreme Robots arena 3 more times over the weekend, and in one of those 3 matchups, the one that we have seen shared on Reactivate, AfterShock would deliver some serious damage to Zadkiel, ripping off part of its top, but durability would be the name of the game here, as Zadkiel would take a licking but keep on ticking, eventually outclassing AfterShock, who would break down during the fight's final moments. Even in defeat, the ever-gracious Will Thomas will remain a good sport, stating that out of all these matches these two machines have had versus one another this year, quite a few, this one here has probably been his favorite so far. Glad that this was the one we were able to see online. But these 2 victories for Team Divinity were not enough for the crew led by Team Gabriel, as according to our friends at Team Ironclads, it was once again a weekend dominated by Team Inferno, with Michael Oates, John Finlay, Team Rubbish, and the rest of the crew sweeping the week once again. 3 shows up and 3 Team Inferno victories down, bringing our annual score now to a brutal 10-1 total. So with this, Inferno has officially won the 2022 Extreme Robots season and will clinch that 5,000 pounds with still 1 show to go. We're gonna have a bit of a victory lap here during November. But now that brings us to the title picture for the Extreme Robots Heavyweight Championship. Like I said at the top of the video, Iron 6 would be the event's #1 contender, but we'd actually end up seeing 3 title matches over the weekend with multiple championship exchanges. Of course, this title crazy weekend started with the Saturday morning show's main event, the aforementioned and hyped up Iron 6 vs Ignition championship fight. Iron 6 would put together a hell of a competitive performance against Michael Oates and Ignition reportedly, but would shockingly be sent out of the arena by the front hinge flipper, leaving Ignition to make its first successful defense as the Extreme Robots heavyweight champion. The defenses did not end there though. No, after the successful defense by Ignition, the Extreme Robots team were so impressed with Team Iron Aw's performance, they decided to give Iron Aw's younger and much less successful sibling, Iron Aw 8, a shot at the championship for the Saturday evening show's main event. Not much is known about this one-on-one meeting, but we can report that the new Iron Aw 8 would manage its biggest win of its young career, defeating Team Invade's Ignition and crowning itself the new Extreme Robots Heavyweight Champion, the 3rd in the lineage, so congratulations to Team Iron Aw there. That's probably their biggest win of the year, all things considered. Iron Aw 8, though, would not hold this beautiful title very long, and in fact now holds the dubious honor of being the shortest holding champion in the title's short history. That's because on the following day, during that weekend's Sunday main event, the last of these 3, we would finally see the #1 contender, Eruption, use his championship opportunity clause, defeating Iron Aw 8 that night and bringing us all full circle with the championship belt coming right back to Team Inferno and Team Invade territory. Eruption continues its stranglehold on the UK scene, easily the most dominant robot there this year, as expected, and it is now the 4th Extreme Robots Heavyweight Champion. And now Extreme Robots needed another contender for the championship as the dust has settled. After the Maidstone weekend concluded, showrunner Chris Wilkins brought up this dilemma and cited some of the more active competitors in Extreme Robots such as Troublemaker and Mega Mouse as potential candidates, but ultimately would settle on this idea for their November event: Eruption versus Iron Aw 6 versus Manta in a 3-way championship melee. Michael Oates, captain of Team Invade and Team Inferno, would fire back quickly with a response on Reactivate, saying that he thought the idea was boring. Michael Oates would cite that Iron Aw 6 was the only robot to ever get out of the arena by Ignition, and another dubious honor there. And Manta, meanwhile, has had a pretty rough year with not much consistency and numerous breakdowns, certainly not a lie. With all this, Michael would add to the challenge by including the first ever Extreme Robots Heavyweight Champion Ripper into the fold, and added that the fight should be a traditional Extreme Robots Gladiator match. Chris Wilkins expectedly would agree to this addition to the challenge, stating that Eruption would start, and every 2 minutes and 30 seconds another robot would come out in what would be a 7.5 minute Gladiator Championship Contenders Melee. If Eruption loses this melee, it will be stripped of the title, and the 2023 Extreme Robots season would kick off with a championship 3-way. But that's where we sit on the Maidstone side of things on our Extreme Robots 2022 tour. Inferno sweeping the wheat, Eruption now our champion, but that's not the only show on our Extreme Robots rundown today. Like I said, back in mid-October, we shared on TCC social media the news that Magic the Gathering was getting back into the robot combat game by working alongside Extreme Robots in the Brothers War, Battle of the MECHS, Urza vs. Mishra, a heavyweight robot combat challenge featuring 2 classic heavyweights, Thor and Manta, in Magic the Gathering cosplays, being crewed by some famous YouTubers and personalities such as RT Game, along with the original captains of each robot. The special robot combat event would air across YouTube on November the 7th and has already accrued over 55,000 views. The 2 teams were Team Urza, featuring Team Shock's Will and Ian Thomas, along with the online personalities of RT Game and Kiwo, as together they captained former FRA UK champion Manta. On the other end was Team Mishra, featuring Team Thor's Jason Marston, the aforementioned Team Roaming Robots John Finley, and the personalities of Mango, not the Smash Bros. One, and the Spiffing Brit, with this crew driving the multi-time Robot Wars finalist Thor. There will be 4 rounds of action, with each person on each team getting to drive the robot once. As we went back to a bit of a Robot Wars Series 1 and 2 Robotica format for this kind of competition, with the first 3 rounds being dedicated to various task-based challenges, and the final being a fight to the death, winner take all. The first of these challenges was your classic agility challenge, something a bit like the slalom from Robot Wars Arenas of Destruction, but with some lore-infused rocks instead of barrels. Both personalities didn't really impress too much here, with Team Mishra and Thor looking like early front runners, but having more penalties would cost Team Mishra, leaving Urza and Manta to win round 1. Round 2 saw Thor and Manta taking turns pushing various balloon-shaped gemstones across the border, something similar to Snooker and British Bulldog from Robot Wars Series 1. Again, kind of a sloppy performance by both of our other personalities here, but again the bigger wedge of Manta would prevail, outscoring the Axbach 33-21. The final task-based challenge was an interesting showcase, as both robots had to destroy as many melon eggs as remotely possible in the given amount of time. One would think that an Axbot would dominate a flipper in this sort of competition, but the Finlay-driven Thor would get 1 clean axe strike during the whole challenge and would even have its run cut short by getting its axe stuck straight into the arena floor. Manta, meanwhile, was driven by Will's father Ian Thomas and enlisted quite a fascinating strategy, using the force of its flipper to throw itself completely over, body slamming and annihilating every melon egg in its path for once again an easy win for Team Urza, winning this challenge 9-4, entering the final battle. Now, unfortunately for Team Urza, there were no special advantages, perks, or bonuses for entering the finale fight with such a bold lead, as those 3 task challenges were simply just a warm-up for our fighters who now entered the arena for a winner-take-all one-on-one battle between Magic factions and UK Robot Combat legends. Both Manta and Thor are big names in the sport, but have had off years entering this fight. Thor's most recent Extreme Robots outing saw it going completely winless. Meanwhile, Manta had been seriously plagued with technical issues all year, with no top 3 placements in any recent sight. This would be a great way for both of these robots to get one last jolt of momentum in the TCC overall rankings, as this fight will count with both Will Thomas and Jonathan Marson driving their respective robots here. But now this is what we've been waiting for. Let's talk about this fight. It was a jockey for control out of the gate, with both robots whiffing on their first attack attempts before Thor would draw first blood with a pair of axe strikes to Manta. But Team Shock and Team Urza would quickly respond back with a flip to Thor, who of course quickly self-righted, a very consistent weapon there. Manta would manage another solid flip after throwing Thor forward, but Jason Marston's fantastic driving would kick in here with a solid push by the axe spot, giving it a chance to land 7 straight axe strikes to Manta following those deadly flips. These strikes would seemingly take out one half of Manta's drive, as Manta would panic and struggle from this point onward, whiffing on a big flip attempt of Thor, one which left Manta's insides exposed for another vicious axe strike from Thor. Manta would then make an attempt to escape but get caught on the floor flipper, which would unceremoniously flip the flipping robot right on its tops. After the hard landing and the internal axe strike from Thor, it seemed like Manta's flipper was dead, which meant the whole robot was dead, stuck on its head like a turtle. So Manta, the former FRA UK champion and multi-time runner-up, will be counted out, letting Thor and the way behind Team MECHS pick up the upset victory after it suffered 15 vicious axe strikes from Thor and one brutal fatal floor flip. So of course, congratulations to Team Inferno, both for winning the Extreme Robots Heavyweight title and for officially securing victory in the 2023 Extreme Robots season. And of course, shout out to Team MECHS, Jason Marston, John Finley, and the YouTube personalities behind that robot. It was awesome seeing these special robot cosplays for both these machines. I love seeing the task-based challenges for heavyweights always in action, seeing sort of the agility slalom, something like we saw in BattleBots 2019 with Hypershock. And the Melon Challenge was also good fun. It was very interesting to see the unique strategies Manta was implementing, but it's also going to be very interesting to see what ends up playing out for this final Extreme Robots Heavyweight Championship Defense of the Year, which happened in November. Happened actually already, but we'll cover that in a future video very soon. We will cover the next to last events, Robo Riots in Dublin, in our next video. But for now, thank you so much for watching. This has been everything we have to talk about for Extreme Robots Maidstone. I'm your host, as always, Sterling Brown. You can find me on Instagram at SterlingTXTG. As for the Combot Collective, like I said at the top of the video, please give us a like, comment, and a subscription. Give us your thoughts on the 2022 Extreme Robots season. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. You can find those links in the description below. Please give us a follow. We also have a Discord server. That's where all of our YouTube video upload news goes first, along with news from all of our other social media pages. It all gets routed back to that server page. We're trying to make that an active community. Please join. And that's going to wrap it up for us here at the Combot.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.